It's important to have shared expectations when we're involved in a class together. And so I want to do just a few minutes here on how I provide feedback, particularly on outlines or drafts or early parts of assignments, and what I expect you to do with that and what you shouldn't expect from that process. And so I start with this set of evaluations that I got recently from two students, same class, obviously same teacher, same circumstance. And here I suggest that you go ahead and just pause this and read these two comments, compare and contrast, and then I'll talk a little bit about it. So I'm going to take a minute, go ahead, pause and read. Okay, now that you've read that, I think you can see that essentially these are two students looking at the same instruction from the same teacher, me, and drawing different conclusions. And so I want to address that here early in this class so that you can anticipate how I provide feedback and what I do and what I don't do and how you should approach that in completing your assignments. So when I provide feedback on an outline for a presentation or a first draft on an essay or anything that is similar to that where it's not the final assignment, what I'm doing is simply giving you a deadline to get that part finished, and in each case it will have a separate explanation about what my expectations are. And it's more or less a pass-fail. If you do it and you get it mostly done, you're going to get the full points. If you don't do it, you don't get any points. And then sometimes if it's a partial completion of the assignment, maybe you'll get a few points. But it ought to be more or less a pass-fail. And what I do with that is I'm going to basically identify areas that look really good, where you've done some nice work, and then areas that are opportunities for improvement, but I'm not going to fix them for you. I'm not going to provide a series of do this next, do this next, do this next. I don't know any college instructors or professors who do that. That's one of the significant differences between high school and college, is that you are expected to do the reading, read the assigned textbook sections, watch my videos, use the resources I provide, and then apply all of that in completing your assignments. I'm not going to pre-grade your work. In other words, I'm not going to go in and say, okay, you need to now do this, 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 and this. I'm going to identify general areas, and my expectations are you will take that and make the changes necessary. And I'm going to talk about that in more detail here next. So once you have my feedback on that preliminary assignment, the outline, the first draft, whatever the case might be, you need to make sure that you understand the rubric, if there's a rubric available for that assignment. And typically in my essay classes, in my Composition English 101, 102 classes, there's basically one rubric that outlines the expectations, the broad expectations for writing an essay. And then there are specific assignments for each of the four major assignments, each of the four major essays. You need to be very familiar with those. You need to review the positive feedback I gave you. So I've identified areas where you've done well, and then really focus on the areas where I've said, here's where you need to think about doing things a little differently, where you need to work on improving. And I'm going to then assume that you have watched all of my lessons, that you have read all the assigned reading in the textbook, that you are accessing all of the resources available, whether it's Purdue OWL or the other things that are available that I've made available to you on Canvas. And you are then going to figure out how to apply those all the answers should be there for you. You shouldn't have any mysteries, but I'm not going to go through it in step-by-step detail and say, okay, to get an A, you need to now do this and this and this. That's all laid out for you in the description for the assignment, and the answers are provided in the resources and lessons that I give you. If you do all of that reading and you use all of the materials I've provided and you read and view all of these lessons I've provided and you're still confused, at that point, ask me a very specific question. But don't expect that I will be providing you a step-by-step guide to going from a C to an A on that assignment. You should be able to figure that out based on all of the information I've given you. What I try to do is on Canvas, since everything I teach is online, on Canvas, I have provided you access to all the answers you need. They're not provided in a step-by-step way. I'm not connecting all the dots for you, but I am providing you a clear description of the assignment, a clear rubric for the assignment, the rubric meaning what are my broader expectations, and then I'm providing you lessons and references and resources to help you do that work. And this is a proven way to teach these courses. And so that's where the answers lie, not in my giving you step-by-step how to write an A paper. In some cases, I've probably provided you some sample papers that identify good papers. In some cases, I might have even written a sample paper for you to give you an idea of some of the basics that I'm looking for. But you need to now go beyond that, make sure that you've done all of the heavy lifting and identified what it is you need to be doing to appropriately and completely finish that assignment for the score that you want, to complete it in the way that's described. If you run into specific questions, that's when you ask me very specific questions, and I'm happy to get into a conversation with you to try to clarify if I've not been as clear as I need to be.